Morning, everyone. So actually there's going to be a slight change. We are no longer going to be calling this a technology lease. We're going to be calling it a capital lease. We are going to be including the lease of a facilities vehicle into the lease. We were looking at leasing to purchase a vehicle for facilities. The interest rate from the finance company was 6.25%. By including it with the technology lease, we get it down to a 1.4% interest rate. So it's going to save us some money. Even paying it over 5 years versus the 3 years from the other company, it still saves us some money. So what we're requesting is and I just sent an updated resolution to Tracy, Matt, and Mary Jane to, authorize a $400,000 capital lease to include $350,000 of technology equipment and $50,000 for the purchase of a facilities vehicle. I've already discussed this with Dr. Freeman. He's on board with including the vehicle into the technology lease and saving us some money. These are the same leases that we've done a number of years. I checked with two different leasing companies that we've done business with in the past. TD Equipment Finance is our low bidder at 1.38%, so just under 1.4%.
I'll move support of this resolution. I would normally not want to include a vehicle like that, but with those kind of rate savings, we kind of have to.
Right. I want to have a broader discussion on, is this changing the use of this vehicle? I don't mean the car itself, but the purchase,
financing vehicle.
That's right. And again, in full disclosure, I know that we all had to absorb some cuts for the upcoming budgets, and I know there are some changes, including capital line items being removed from budgets. So is this a way to get a capital line item back into the expense base without actually having capital to do it with? So I guess my question is this a shift in policy from the Board of Education to start to move to include more things than technology in the technology lease? And will we be seeing more of this? I asked that question against the backdrop that we've all been trying to raise the level of capital spending in our operating budgets so that we don't necessarily have to pay interest on capital projects that don't qualify for that particular type of funding. So I have a philosophical. It's really a philosophical question. Is the Board of Education changing the way they're looking at their capital purchases, or is this a one-time event?
During the budget discussion, we had included the purchase of a truck. The Board of Education, during their approval of the budget, we switched it over to leasing. And it was going to be a lease to own. And that was what was included in the budget, because it was a way to get the truck and not have that big expense in 1 year. The truck is $50,000 for a truck with a plow and a
Gotcha.
whole bit. I don't know if this is going to continue, but the trucks desperately need to be replaced. And this was a way to get the truck this year without incurring the full $50,000 of expense.
That helps me understand it a little better, because this budget already included a lease payment for the truck, right? The upcoming budget. So all we're doing is trading a higher interest rate for a lower interest rate through the use of this vehicle this financing vehicle versus a standard lease arrangement on the truck.
Right.
Okay. Charles?
I understand, your philosophical concerns about lease versus capital and that type of thing. And I'm okay with this particular one. I just want to make sure that, and I think you've already answered it, is that this is not an additional vehicle. This is simply maintaining a fleet at a reasonable, age and that type of thing. So I think you already answered that it is not a new vehicle, it is a replacement vehicle.
Good.
It is-
Sandy?
Um, I, I'll second the motion just so we can continue this discussion, but I want to go back to Matt's original question, Linda. This truck, no matter how we purchase it, was already in the budget and didn't get knocked out after the cuts?
That's correct. It was already included in the budget.
And it was in the operating side or the capital side?
It's under our capital line for equipment purchases. So it's included in our capital section of our budget.
But now it's going to get, I'm not being critical, I just want to be clear. It's now going to be moved over to operating because it's going to fold under this technology lease?
No, even the technology lease falls under our capital operating budget.
Okay. So Matt, does that satisfy your concerns?
It does. It does satisfies my concern. Sue, you had a question?
I was just going to remind the board that we don't have any authority to really question how the Board of Ed spends their money or what line item, or they could transfer anything from anywhere. We're only involved in this, my understanding is because we need to sign off on the long-term aspect of the payments. So we don't have the right to weigh in on the nature of the purchase, whether it was a good idea or not.
Right.
I do agree with the sort of the general comment from First Selectman Hoyt that since we've never been asked to approve something other than a technology lease, I don't appreciate the surprise. I mean, it would have been good to be able to understand it a little bit. But I'm in favor of doing this. It seems to make sense. And again, I don't think it's up to us to question the decision.
Yeah, I apologize for the surprise. This only came up late on the day, end of the day on Thursday, when we were talking about the purchase of the truck and looked at the financing rate. And I talked to bond counsel, and he agreed that that interest rate from the other company was way too high, and that proceeding this way was a good way to go. And I only talked to Dr. Freeman at 8 o'clock this morning to confirm that he wanted to do this.
So I have one. So following up on Sue's comment, and thanks for that explanation of why we're getting it now, Linda. I appreciate that. But on Sue's comment, normally I understand that's the ground rule, and I don't know. I'm asking, not declaring, whether in this case there's not a little bit of an exception to the ability of the town to look over the shoulder of the school board in a decision like this, and that it's a long-term financing commitment, and the town's involved in that. And so we may be able to sort of push the decision around. And I think this one does make sense, but I kind of agree that I wouldn't want to suddenly see this thing expand in the future to various and sundry mechanisms. I mean, that's kind of stuff you read about in other towns, cities, where all sorts of stuff just gets pushed out in a way that doesn't necessarily make sense. This makes sense. I'm behind it. If it was going to be a more frequent thing, I'd be more interested to know the footing of the town to comment.
I want to make sure something doesn't get lost here in this discussion, and that is obviously prudent financial management. The analysis that was done to determine that this was a much more effective financing vehicle than the one that I had anticipated using in the upcoming budget. So I want to applaud the Board of Education for doing their homework and looking to see if there was a better way to finance something that had already been approved to be financed on a 5-year lease. So yeah. I want to make sure that's not lost, Linda. It's great work, and Sue's point is correct. This is somewhat of a sea change in terms of the use of that vehicle, that financing vehicle that we expect was primarily for technology. So I agree. I think we can move forward with this. We beat it to death now. At least I have. Right. But again, it reflects sound financial management. All right. Is there a motion to amend the motion that's on the table on a resolution to authorize a capital lease in the amount of $400,000, $350,000 of which for technology and $50,000 for a facilities vehicle?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Call the question. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Thank you very much, Linda.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
You too.
Two, thanks.
Item 6, Police Department, Deputy Chief Hyatt, discuss and take possible action to approve a requisition for the purchase of an interface for automated fingerprint system. Butch, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And first, I'd just like to say thanks to Selectman Federici for a little help he gave me last weekend. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to send Matt out of town more often.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, so this request, unfortunately, was not something that we could have budgeted for. The automated fingerprint system is the system which links our police department to both the FBI and the state fingerprint databases. The system is provided by the state of Connecticut. The system we currently have in place is, I don't know, about 15 years old. The state has changed contractors that they're going to be using for that automated system, for the hardware and software associated with that. They notified us, I guess, the middle of last year that they're looking at new contractors. They finally have gone to a contractor. What they didn't tell us was that there was going to be a cost associated, not with the purchase of the hardware, the software, but tying that system into our current CAD RMS system, which is our records management system. To be able to do that, Next Gen is our CAD RMS, the company that does all the CAD RMS work for us. And this request would be for their work to design, develop, test, install, and deploy the CAD RMS system to interface directly with that fingerprint system, and it's around $7,000 is the quote that they've given us. I do have to tell you that myself and most of the chiefs in the state are not happy about that number, because a large number of the police departments are using Next Gen as their CAD RMS supplier. So there are some conversations going on in the background, either with the state and in other places, and maybe somewhere down the road we can either get that lowered or maybe even paid for. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but at least those conversations are going on. But in the interim, I have to request the funding so that if that does not come through, we are able to have our interface in place when that new system is put in place sometime around January.
Good. Thank you, Butch, for that detailed description. Anyone have questions?
I assume there are no options. That's the issue at this point.
Right, because the state supplies the vendor for that system, and that system goes into all the police departments in the state, including the state police.
Good.
You may have just said this, but I'm not sure if I got it. It's coming out of the fiscal year that just closed, and if you have money in your budget for it, or this is a special appropriation, or?
No, this would come out of the 1920 budget. I do have some funding there that I can use for that. Some of that live scan that's in place now, because they stopped with they changed vendors with the state. We did have some budgeted money for maintenance and things on that I can leverage for this funding out of last year's budget.
Thank you.
Great. Any further questions?
I'll move it.
And
I'll second it.
a second, and it's just clarification. It's a $7,000 allocation to Next Gen Public Safety Solutions. Call the question. Selectman Federici. Selectman Federici, are you gone?
Muted, though. You're muted.
There we go. Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Item 7, Environmental Planner Kevin McGee, 7.1, consider and take possible action to contract with All Habitat Services LLC off of the state contract for invasive plant treatment at Lake Quantipoc. Kevin, good morning, and
Good morning. Looking
background,
again,
I think we've seen this before, so.
yes, we've seen this quite a few times. We're looking to continue with our aquatic weed management, invasive weed management at Lake Quantipoc. We have been going out the pricing from All Habitat Services, which is a state contractor for performing this work. They've done it for us for the past 3 or 4 years. To do this work, they're familiar with the lake and the issues of our lake there. The cost of the proposal is $12,346.41.
Someone want to put that in a motion?
I'll move it, but I do have a question. You know,
Let's-
I don't know.
Get
if
a second
the
first.
contract is- Pardon me?
I'll second it for the discussion.
All right, the question I had was, yeah, like you said, this is a recurring contract, and I don't know if this is boilerplate or not, but I thought legal notices we could now do online, and we didn't have to do the new, $200 a notice, that must be a newspaper notice?
This isn't, this is a state bid contractor, so we don't have to go out to bid or anything for this work or get free prices.
I'm not
It's a
talking
state-
about bid, I'm talking about the legal notice. There's a line item in there, $200 for legal notices. I thought we could do legal notices online now.
That's for our meetings and stuff. I'm not sure what to probably check with council if that's also for these DEP issues.
Okay, I mean, I made the motion, I'm willing to go along with it, but I think it'd be worth double checking that kind of stuff. Because, this could be just a kind of boilerplate that just gets added because it was on last year's type thing, so.
Right, yeah, we'll follow up on that. I mean, not many people
Okay.
read the register and stuff like that, so we do post it out on the town social medias when we're getting ready to conduct the work.
From my understanding legally, that qualified now, but okay, I don't want to overdo it, okay.
Kevin, question, who is responsible for securing licenses from DEEP or approval from DEEP before applying this?
Permits or licenses?
Both.
So we're putting the permit in, and the permit has been filed with DEP. Permit went in late because it took us 6 months to get a letter from another division of DEP, which is Natural Diversity Database Review. So the permit went in about 2 weeks ago to the DEP Aquatics Pesticide Division. So this is basically setting us up for when we do get approval, we can move quickly to start treatment.
Kevin, just so the balance of the board understands, this issue came up last week, working with Senator Cohen and Representative Scanlon on trying to push this along, because the longer it goes without treatment, the less effective the treatment is in the lake itself. So we've engaged our state legislators to get DEEP to move on this. Because of that extensive delay on the part of the state, to get back to us on the earlier part of this licensing or application process.
Right, and when we start losing the effective window for our treatment too, once we get too far past
On that issue, that line item that says cost of Roundup, that sends up flags in my mind. I hope everybody's got that under control.
Yeah.
But it's Roundup, yeah.
I mean, it actually says Roundup in there,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it's the,
I don't know the technology of it, but I know that doesn't, that sends a flag in my book.
I believe the health hazard more for the person applying it than, because it's a fast
Well,
breakdown when it
I
hits
know,
the
but
source
it
there.
just, the town could ultimately be responsible, so I just, whatever permits or rules and regs, we better make sure they're followed, because, you know what I'm saying.
Kevin,
Right.
this is Pam,
Yep.
did DEEP approve of that?
Well, that's what the permit's in for right now. That's, they approved
Okay,
the
so you
chemicals
don't
as
know
part of the
what
permit.
they're,
Correct. They approved the
Okay.
chemicals,
all right,
which are allowed.
okay,
We don't, like I said, that's them.
all right.
Yeah,
We've
but
been
that
using
always
for-
turns into somebody.
All right.
I mean, there's another alternate, but they don't like us using it in this lake.
So at the end of the day, DEEP will be the regulatory body that authorizes the use of these products in this lake.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
just want to make sure.
Yep.
All right, anything further? All right, there's a motion on the table to award a contract to Owl Habitat Services LLC off the state contract in the amount of $12,346.61. Call the question. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Motion carries. Kevin, thank you very much.
Yep.
And we'll stay in touch with the state legislators on moving deep on that application.
Sounds good.
Good, thank you. Item 8, Park and Recreation, Rick Maynard, 8.1. Discuss and take possible action to approve the sale of a Jacobson HR 9016 mower. Good morning, Rick, and would you give us a little background here?
Sure. Good morning. So this is a mower that we're about to replace with the Toro mower that you folks approved a few weeks ago. That mower is coming in, I think, the end of this week, July 10th, I believe it's scheduled to be in. And so we don't really need this old Jacobson anymore. We do have another one that we're still operating. But the Ag Society is interested in this. I think about 15 years ago, we sold them the same thing, a Jacobson 16-foot mower. They use it for a number of years. And I know that recently they've been mowing that whole property with small 6-foot mowers. And I'm just suggesting that we waive the normal, whatever the normal policy is for, auctioning these things off and allow the town to sell to the Agricultural Society. They made a good offer of $4,500. Similarly, Tony, our park foreman, researched a little bit. There's a mower very similar, same model. It doesn't have the roof on it like ours does, the cab on it, but similar model sold in Canada for about $5,000. On the whatever the bid list, however they do it. So we think it's a good price. But regardless of that, the Ag Society has been great to us. Since 2000, we've had the fireworks there, and other community events they allow to have there. And I think that, I just feel like it's neighborly, to be able to kind of, not that we owe them anything, but it's something that they certainly could use. That's a lot of area to mow with small mowers. They're all volunteers, and this mower would certainly cut down the amount of time that they need to get that property in good, looking good condition.
I agree with Rick that it's a neighborly thing to do, and I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Rick, I couldn't agree more. Despite the occasional contention with zoning and planning and neighbors, the Ag Society has been a good partner to this community. Most recent demonstration of that is allowing the school district to use their property for graduation. And you think back over the last couple of years, doing the Songstrong road races, those kind of things. So, and again, let's also remember that the Ag Society is an all-volunteer organization, and that is one big piece of property. And trying to mow that with a couple of 6-footers just takes so much time. And then lastly, the fair itself will no doubt be impacted by the fact that they had to cancel the fair this year. And so even this 4,500 might be a stretch for them, but as you said, it's a fair price. So I agree. Anyone else?
I think it makes sense. It's a valuable property. It's a good organization that the town works together with. It seems to make sense.
Great. All right. Call the question. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Selectman Haverda.
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Motion carries. 8.2, Rick, discuss and take possible action to award bid number 1-2021 Guilford High School practice field drainage improvements.
Okay, so we met out there with all the potential contractors. There were 7 contractors that came on the mandatory pre-bid walkthrough. 3 actually bid on it. Bid opening was last week. The bid numbers were, you may have them there, but the AquaTurf for irrigation was $24,475. Sports Turf Specialties, $34,575, and US Pitch Care, $37,500. I checked the references on the 2 lower ones, and Paul Schmidt and I talked about it, chair of the field committee, and we're recommending the number 2 bidder, Sports Turf Specialties. Well, for a number of reasons, but mainly, well, first of all, we're well within budget. We have $57,000 budgeted for this. So these came in way under budget. We're very thankful for that. But after checking references and Sports Turf Specialties just came out like so strong. For example, for a number of years, they've been taking care of Fenway Park. They get hired to renovate the entire field, do work there with the maintenance crew. Something is out of Massachusetts, by the way. I think it's Rentham or Waltham, Massachusetts. They're just very, very highly recommended. The lower bidder, kind of mixed reviews. There were some that were pretty good, others were not. And without getting into a lot of detail right now, we've had experience with them with some projects, and we just think we're probably better off going with the second bidder.
Is there a motion to award the bid to Sports Turf Specialty, and what was the amount, Rick?
$34,575.
Is there a motion to award that contract?
I'll
Sure.
move it, but I don't see in our board pack the bid list, the bid.
I
the
don't
number.
either.
I don't have it.
What was the cost difference, Rick? So
So
let's get the second on the table and all of that.
There's a sec. I'll second it for the discussion purpose.
yeah, it was just about $10,000. So $24,475 was the low bid. The second was $34,575. So there's no question it's more, $10,100.
You're talking 30% at that point.
Correct.
Okay, where was the first bidder, low bidder located?
Orange, Connecticut.
Have we ever used either of these bidders before?
The low bidder we've used several times.
And I get the impression from you that you're not enthusiastically support of them for any reason.
We're not,
All right, that's all you have to say. I don't need to know the why fors and the where fors. I mean, you've had experience with them. You're not overly enthusiastic about using them again. So it's just that it is a substantial difference. So we do want to make sure to the taxpayers that we can justify it and there's a reason.
And if I could just add, this is Pam Millman. Under our purchasing policy, just to, reemphasize, there's no obligation for the town to award to the lowest bidder. They can take numerous factors into account, and references.
But we do have to
one
take
of
those
those.
factors into account. We have to know what they are. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Pam, does our language say lowest responsible bidder or something to that effect?
Yes. It
Thank you.
does. Yeah.
I have no problem as long as there is good reason. In past experience to me is very good reason. So I have no problem with making the motion and moving forward, but I do think we owe it to the taxpayers for them to understand that we did, look into it at least.
Good. Great. Anyone else?
Yeah, Rick, I'm sorry, what was the highest bid, just to put this in context?
$37,500.
Okay, so those two are close together.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Fair
I'd
enough.
like to have the bids in the future though. I mean, we usually get them.
Yeah, we'll get those out to you today.
Yeah, I don't need these, but in the future, I'd like to continue to get the actual bids.
Yeah, normally we do. I'm not sure what happened here.
No problem. No problem. Okay.
All right. So call the question. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you.
Good day.
You too.
Item 9, Public Works, Tom Fillion, 9.1. Discuss and take possible action to contract with New England Asphalt Services for chip sealing. Tom? Are you there, Tom? I see a picture, DPW.
There we go. This looks promising. Oh,
He's on mute, so he probably can't hear us.
Tom, you're on
does it
mute.
help if we tap the screen?
Well, I may be able to
No.
unmute, right? Ask all to unmute, all right.
We can send
You
a
hear
drone.
me?
Tom,
Yep, you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. All right. Once again, I'd like to go with New England Asphalt Services. The chip seal proposed 7 miles of road this year. They were the low bid on the state contract at $149 per square yard and 10 cents per square yard for the polymire additive for the bonding of the road surface. The quote was for 110,357 square yards to be placed. The total comes to $175,467.63, excluding any escalation charge at this point, in which I'm hoping with the way the oil prices are going at this point that there will be no escalation charge.
Got it.
And can I ask, is Pam, did you get the performance bond and payment bond status?
Yep, I talked to him. He says he will get those to you. I talked to him on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, technically, we really can't have any work start until we get them to sign a contract and get those bonds in place, which hopefully can be in the next couple days.
Yep, he's aware of it, and he said that he would get those to you. I mean,
All
the
right.
contract should be a little bit simpler because we've been using them for the past 4 or 5 years.
Agreed. Thanks.
Sorry, thanks, Pam. Tom, I was still on the Board of Finance. This goes back 4 or 5 years, maybe, when the polymer especially just spiked. Oil prices were going crazy. Have we seen a corresponding plunge in that cost since things are so low? Do you have like this? Yeah.
When I talked to Brandon, he says that he didn't expect any escalation charge this year because of the oil prices being so low.
Right, but are we paying less as a result? I mean,
What was
oil's
their
been dirt
charge
cheap for a year. What?
What? We're
I said
paying the
oil's been
same.
super. Sorry.
One at a time. Lou, please finish.
Yep.
Yeah, oil's been super cheap for a year. I'm sort of curious if this contract is cheaper than 2 years ago, for instance.
Nope, this contract is the same as last year, okay, the price wise. But he did say that there's a possibility, once we know what the oil prices are at the date in which they place the stone, that we may, he didn't want to put himself forward, but we may end up having probably a percentage taken off for that difference.
And how many miles have we done each of the last few years?
Well, it's a lot less than what we wanted to do. Last year was like 5.6, I think, and before that was 6.7. I'm at 7 miles this year. I'm trying to take advantage of the low oil prices.
Good.
Pam? If I may speak, yeah, thanks. I think Lou is really raising a good question, and you're on it, Tom. I hear it since you've been discussing that with the vendor. But I think, as I remember the state contract, it's complex, and I would, maybe suggest that you and me and the contractor maybe have a quick call on it. Doesn't have to be a Zoom; it can just be a call, because I want to just make sure that we really understand that the possibility of a de-escalation. Because I agree, if the price is the same as it was 2 years ago, that doesn't seem right.
Well, I'm sure that
yes and no, but
We're getting more miles.
Yeah, but it's per square
Oh.
feet or yard or whatever it is.
Well, remember,
Unit cost.
Pam, it sounds like Tom's on it, but just like there's an escalation clause, I want to make sure there's a de-escalation clause. As far as the prices, it'd be interesting to see them come down, but I have
Right.
limited optimism, but if
I
it,
agree.
I want to make sure the clause is in there. I'm assuming that all of these numbers attached to the state contract, they say Empire Paving, is that like the owner of New England Asphalt or something? There's so many numbers here, but they don't really mean anything. It's just part of the contract.
right, they're for different regions. Can you hear me?
They're all part of the bidding or something.
Yes, they're for
And-
different
and-
regions.
And if I could jump in on the de-escalation, Charles, the way it worked before, it's not like I can build that in, we can build that into our specific contract. It is that when the state awarded it at their level, which we piggyback off of, that's all negotiated. So back then it was, here's the price, and if oil jumps up, here's the adjustment, and this is how much notice you get, et cetera. So the
So in the
question,
state contract, they probably didn't have
right,
clause going
Right.
the other way. Yeah.
right. And it might be that it was a 3-year contract or something. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, it'd be
why,
worth asking the question, and
definitely.
if an addendum could be added or whatever,
Right.
I wouldn't
Yep.
be against it.
Yep.
Okay, you're on it.
Thanks.
We have a motion, and everything, don't we, at this point?
No, we don't have a motion yet.
I'll move it.
Second,
Second,
any further comments or questions? Hearing none, call the question. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Tom, thank you very much. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Tom, just while you're still, I don't know if Tom's
Yep.
still there, we are obviously going to be careful about the sweeping and all of that kind of stuff, because that's
Yep.
always an ongoing discussion.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
are. We're on top of it.
There will undoubtedly be calls into the selectman's office that there are rocks and stuff all over people's driveways and yards, so.
Yeah, but we've done pretty good the past couple of years, and this company is aware of it, and I think they've done as good as they could possibly do with what we're doing.
Agreed.
I mean, it's inherently a messy process, and it's just how they respond to it that matters. And if they've been responsive, that's good enough.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with the problem.
A lot of that response winds up being Public Works as well,
Yep.
Yeah.
after the fact.
Just making note that, okay.
It's important.
Good. All right. Item 10, appointments and resignations. Is there a motion to accept the resignation from Jason Marchi, from the Planning and Zoning Commission?
With regret, I'll make the motion.
Correct. Yep.
And
All right.
appreciate it.
Second,
Second. We're gonna do all these at once, right? Courtesy approval. Also act on a
Hold on,
recommendation.
Sue's got something,
Right.
Matt.
Yep.
I just wanted to ask, the letter that was attached for this individual actually lists 4 resignations. If you look on the second page, he goes on, I guess he was on 4 different task forces and so on.
Yeah.
Did we-
Oh my God, you're right. Well, he's at three of which are combined. Planning and zoning, not really combined, I guess. And the planning committee is a subcommittee of planning and zoning, I think. I guess inland wetlands is a separate committee.
And inland wetlands is an appointment from, he's a representative from Planning and Zoning to the Inland Wetlands Commission. So you're,
Oh, I see. Still a good point, Sue.
All right.
so those two, but I think the Facilities Task Force is another one that we need to accept.
Well, we'll make the motion for all of them, that's all.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes.
He's on all of them. All right. 10.2 is a recommendation to appoint Bill Freeman as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire February 28th, 2023. The next is an act on a recommendation to reappoint James DeMayo, Standing Building Committee, for a term to expire June 17, 2024. The next is to reappoint Adam Tulin to the Standing Building Committee for a term to expire June 17, 2024. 10.5 is to appoint Scott Beers to the Sustainable Guilford Task Force. And 10.6 is act on recommendation from the Conservation Commission to appoint Scott Williams as a liaison to the Land Acquisition Commission. And we have a motion for all of those. Call the question, Selectman Federici.
Did you skip Yarrow?
I think we skipped Yarrow.
Oh, I did. You're right. I'm sorry. Let me add to that recommendation to appoint Robert Yarrow to the Scenic Roads Committee. All right, there's call the question on all of those. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Selectman Haverda.
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. We have the addition, the 10.a, and that is for the sign on the green for Country School. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Call the question. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Selectman Haverda.
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. 11, committee report. Anything, Sandy or Lou? Of note?
I do, as a matter of fact. Sorry, Sandy. I spoke to Kevin and swapped some emails with Dennis and George. I expect to have by our next meeting, the 20th, recommendations regarding fees for inland wetlands, health, engineering, planning and zoning.
Excellent.
So the Town Hall South is ramping back up, as I'm sure you're all aware, and we should be hearing from them before the meeting, and hopefully I'll be able to have something to send around prior to the meeting.
Excellent.
I should say, Sandy, and we'll touch base with Veronica as well, of course.
Okay.
Good. Sandy, anything else on housing?
Not right now. No.
All right. Correspondence, anyone have any correspondence that they received that want to share? Hearing none. Old business? New business? Charles and Lou, we were talking earlier prior to the meeting about the possibility of convening in-person meetings. And I know we're all anxious to be back together as a group. However, we want to still exercise the extreme amount of caution and appropriate social distancing. And again, my statement, and I stand by this, is that unless we are all comfortable with an arrangement whereby we are meeting in public and we can satisfy the needs in terms of getting public participation, we will not start. So Pam, I just want to ask you, I know you have been on top of a bunch of information on the various listservs that you're part of relative to the convening of public meetings, the legality of convening public meetings, and then doing so with the appropriate social distancing. Pam, you're on mute. You're on mute. Come off mute, please.
Yes, hi. So through the municipality listserv, the municipal attorney listserv, and also with Attorney Steve Mednick, who has worked for the town on a number of things and actually is responsible for drafting some of the governor's executive orders. He shared with me an opinion letter he wrote for some other towns that he represents. And the opinion it covers a number of things, but with respect to the meeting of the Board of Selectmen, these kind of public agency meetings, it's really his feeling that the initial EO that was issued that made the meetings remote, he thinks is still really stands. There was a subsequent EO, which had some, but the gist of it, and it's set, is that a municipality would need to consult with its local or state health official, and the municipality would need to conduct the meeting, and the quotes are, the meeting approval process or referendum in a way that significantly reduces the risk of transmission of COVID. And then within that opinion letter, he then goes on to say, it appears inconceivable that any responsible or prudent health director would opine in favor of such a meeting, because he's really focusing on that somehow to have the public meeting would significantly reduce the risk of transmission. So all that being said, I mean, could you have it in the community center? Make sure everybody's 6 feet apart, including yourselves. Make sure everybody has masks. Definitely get a letter from Dennis that kind of tracks some of this language. I think you could do that, but I think what Steve is saying, that's, in his opinion, that would be pushing the envelope on it. And, you know, you might say, well, that just so, it's like, it conflicts with all the other things they're allowing. And I couldn't argue against that. Like, you know, how can you have 150 people outside and you can't do this? But that is kind of the state of the executive orders at this point. And if you all understand, as of September 9th, the executive orders automatically terminate unless, you know, something else occurs. So we're talking about theoretically a period that
we're talking 3 meetings.
right.
All right. Matt, what in COG and the rest of it, what are the other towns doing at this point?
No one, people are not conducting town meetings. As it maybe come as no surprise, Mayor Dickinson in Wallingford is aggressively trying to push for in-person meetings. Mitch, I see you laughing at that one. Is aggressively trying to push for in-person meetings, including the COG meetings. So, and he's an attorney as well, and he has rendered his own opinion on this, that you can conduct them. And I think he references the fact that if you get your health director to approve it, you can. Now the question is, is indoor gathering sizes and what the current limitation is on indoor gathering sizes.
Do we have a feel for how many guests we have had the last couple of meetings? Not the town meetings, but the regular board meetings?
With the exception of the issues around the pension, I'm not sure we've had any public participation other than those who are interested in the pension issue. We did get Zoom bombed on one, but we got rid of that one pretty quickly.
Well, all right, then here's my position on this. As much as I'd like to get back to in-person meetings, I do not want to be the leader in this particular event. In summer sessions seem to be lower participation anyway. If we have a particular budget issue or something that comes up that would require you know, whether it be town meeting or public hearing or something like that. Yeah, I don't know of any on the horizon at this point in time. Budget season is behind us. So I personally, as much as I would like to be back to in person, I would not be in favor of being a leader in this particular instance, frankly.
Good. Anyone else?
I have a question actually on this, which is whenever we reopen, is there a possibility of maintaining a Zoom component to it? I really had the feeling that people appreciated the opportunity to participate that way. And I don't know how that would work, and it's more of a question again, rather than a, you know, demand or anything, but it seems like it would be a nice thing for our community if they had an opportunity to participate.
I mean, that would almost be like what we were working towards with live streaming. I mean, I remember that was a discussion except for the technology issues, but we were talking about having live streaming meetings at one point, but we never quite got there.
I mean, we are
Yeah,
there. We are there from the following perspective. We have engaged the services of HB Communications, who will be outfitting this conference room over the next month or two to be able to do live streaming and Zoom type meetings so people can participate remotely. There'll be a screen, there'll be a camera set up, etc. We are also looking at the same requirements than what would be required, more mobile in nature for the community center. So the meetings that are conducted up in the Board of Finance meetings upstairs versus the large conference room, we'd be able to utilize the capacity to do exactly that. So there are some other challenges. In fact, there's a meeting that's going to take place, I think, later this week or early next week, where we're going to be bringing the GCTV in as well. GCTV has been a longtime partner in making sure folks have access to our meetings. And Mike Graziani we're probably going to need someone to manage the equipment when we do these meetings. So more than likely, Mike makes that transition.
Well,
So
see, there's another reason, I think we could survive a few more meetings like this. And what you're just pointing out, let that evolve a little bit. And to Lou's point, I think that could work. We could literally have the audience, available through Zoom or whatever. I don't know. I'll listen to what everybody else is thinking, but especially with what's happening throughout the country, I'm not enthusiastic about opening up until we're really, really confident, as much as I do want to get back to normalcy.
got it. So you were
Yeah, point's been made.
Sandy, anything else?
No, I guess unless you suddenly heard that there were a wave of towns going to a in-person meeting, just report on that to us, but doesn't sound like that right now.
Absolutely not. No. Okay, public forum. I'm not
All
sure.
right, so can we assume that the next July meeting is going to be a Zoom meeting?
Yeah, we're Zoom until further notice.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public forum. I'm not sure there's anybody from the public. Raise your hand electronically, or I'll go through whoever. No. Okay. All right. We have two items for executive session. The first is to discuss and take possible action on potential land purchases. And then the second one is to consider an act on a successor collective bargaining agreement between the town of Guilford and a local 356. This will necessitate us having everyone drop off except board members, and then for land purchases, I believe both I believe both Gary McKelney and Keith Bishop has just joined, and Kevin McGee is on as well. I would invite you in, the three of you in for that. I would ask that the balance disconnect themselves, and then we will reach out to Deputy Chief Hyatt and Commissioner Mickelay for them to join once we have concluded the discussion on the potential land purchases.
Matt,
Clear?
Pam should stay.
Pam stays as well. Yep.
And Matt, in the second
Yeah.
executive session, I request that myself and Chris Hodgson also be allowed to attend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Is there a motion to go into executive session under those guidelines?
So
Make
moved.
motion.
And a
Second.
second. Okay, good. Call the question. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Selectman Haverda.
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Thank you all for having participated. And we'll be chatting soon. And we are recording. Excellent. Let me just make sure Tracy knows, although she doesn't need to because she's going to have to be able to see the recording. All right, we're just come out of the executive session. A couple of items were discussed. There were no actions, no motions made, no actions taken in executive session. On item 16, which was discuss and take possible action on potential land purchases, we discussed, and I would entertain a motion to authorize the Land Acquisition Committee to engage a consulting firm to conduct a phase 1 environmental study at a price not to exceed $2,500 and the decision on the vendor will be at the discretion of Chairman McCallany, Kevin McGee, and myself. Is there a motion to that effect?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second. Any further,
Second.
any further
Sorry.
discussion?
No.
No, good. Call the question. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion carries. As to secondary item that was discussed, is there a motion to approve land acquisition commission moving forward with an appraisal on the property that was described to the board member and discussed?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Call the question. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. The third item that was discussed was regarding potential sale of a small parcel of land in Guilford. And we're authorizing Gary McKelney and Attorney Millman to move forward with the process to make that purchase available for sale. I don't think we need a motion on that, but it's just they're authorized to do so. They will be back to us with the results of that activity. On item 17, is there a motion to authorize Police Commission Chairman Welsh to sign the successor collective bargaining agreement between the town of Guilford and Local 356, Council 4, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, better known as our police officers, for July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Other than for the record, congratulations to the team that negotiated this. Chairman Welsh, Vice Chairman Mickelay, Mitch Goldblatt, and Chris Hodgson. This is a good agreement for both the town and the union, and congratulations on getting it across the finish line. With that.
And our chiefs were involved.
And chiefs were involved as well, absolutely. So, call the question. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That concludes our business for today. Charles, you'll get to that 11 o'clock.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all for your efforts and time and your wisdom today. And have a great day.
Thank you.
Aye.
That, Alan, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor by voice vote. Aye.
Aye.
Have a good day.
You know.